Hi, welcome back to Noise Avocation Podcast. I'm Ryan with Jeremy here as always.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. We have a special guest with us here today. When you listened to the Blast Beats episode, you probably heard us talk about the Weld and Woe release that they were doing. Today with us, we have Bariann from Fiadh Productions, who was they're not a record label, but, sort of a company that puts out albums that she enjoys. So they were who put out the Weld and Woe release and did the collaboration with Blast Beats on all that. If you were lucky enough to get your copy, because they sold out in like a couple minutes, fucking awesome for you. I managed to get one. I know they were very limited, very hard to get, but stay tuned for more details on that. And Jeremy, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to get into talking with her. And then, enjoy the interview and thanks for listening.
So, Bariann, you are in New York, New York?
Right outside of the city, like about 20 minutes.
Nice.
So technically, no, but
way easier. Yeah, way easier to say.
Well, think about all the suburbs of Detroit. There's probably like double that at least,
right?
If not triple.
But that's what's funny when somebody's like, oh, we're from where, and then we're like, dude, they're not from Lansing, they're from fucking Okemos or whatever, like you break it down.
Yeah.
It's like, it's easier just to boom.
Yeah, it's easier to say.
All right, so anyways, we'll just kind of jump into this. Seems how like Jeremy just did.
I don't know.
No, you're good. I appreciate you doing it. But anyways, Barry, thanks for jumping on the show. We really appreciate it. And I wanted to say congrats on the success of the sellout of the Weld and Woe release that you just did with Blast Beats.
Thank you. That was a really exciting partnership, and it was a good way to kind of introduce it. And I really look forward to doing more stuff with Amit.
Yeah, he was really cool. I've talked to him a few times just back and forth on Instagram, and that's how I got the idea of interviewing him. But he seemed like he was like, "Oh, I'm not in a band. Do I have anything cool to say?" I'm like, "Dude, your store is awesome. Of course you have something cool to say."
I used to feel the same way in terms of interviews because the only band I'm in is a bagpipe band. But I think that there's another side of it, and he definitely has a lot of great insight. He's so passionate about vinyl, and he's really putting himself out there and working with all these distributors worldwide. And the thing that I like that he's doing is that he's really tapping into the Asian market, because you don't really have a lot of people trying to bring that in here because the packaging is different. It's like a whole different vibe that's really cool. So it's nice to see someone kind of breaking down those international barriers.
Yeah, especially because if you a lot of times try to go to order that yourself, you're paying the cost of the record plus the cost of the shipping for an international shipping, and it's usually almost the price of the record.
If not more. Yeah, this is something that I struggle with a lot with postage. And I just, for the record, Media Mail went up 20 cents on Monday. So I'm devastated again.
I noticed. I shipped something yesterday and seen that. And it seems like it goes up. It's it was.
It just went up.
It was every year, but now it seems like it's twice a year.
It is twice a year, and it's absolute bullshit. But I didn't see international rates going up at this point. I'm afraid to look. But I've just been using Ground, which actually I think that went up too. But in terms of international stuff, that's why it's so important for labels to form partnerships and work together. I try and work a lot with a sister label in Spain, so our whole customer base doesn't have to pay crazy fees. So we just kind of ship each other stuff all the time. And if someone wants something from my store, I'll send it to her with other stuff. So we kind of work together to keep costs down, but it's an ongoing battle.
Yeah, I personally hate paying shipping in general. Even in the States, I get salty about it just because I'm used to not paying it. And I know that sounds selfish, but I'm like, oh man, shipping, I got to pay shipping on top. But I also understand the other side of it, how it costs them to ship. But you know, if it's like a major place, you're like, man, you can't hook up free shipping on like a $50, $60 order.
I mean, I'd love to know how. I'm sure there's some deals that can be made, but the level I'm at, I can't get around it. Like I take screenshots of my shipping rates all the time, and I use Pirate Ship. I'm not going to gatekeep. If you want to mail stuff internationally, if you join Pirate Ship, which is free, and you go to the chat bot and you ask for the international export rate, you get a special rate for international shipping that isn't available otherwise, and it's also free.
Oh,
So
That's
awesome.
what's up.
yeah, if you want to write that down or like post it somewhere, I think it's something that everyone should know about because I was using stamps.com for since 2012 and paying like $20 a month, which you still need if you're printing individual stamps. But for the purpose of small labels in small stores, absolutely use Pirate Ship. You don't pay a penny and you get that international shipping discount automatically. You just have to ask in the chat. It's on the right side on the bottom.
Cool. I'll put a link to that in the episode description.
Please do. It's really helpful.
So your label, Fiadh Productions, before we get into like how it started, how did you link up with Amit from Blast Beats?
I put out the Black Birch EP, and they are shipping from Sweden. So they asked me to send, I think 10 or 20 copies to Blast Beats. So I said, sure. And then I saw the pictures that they took, and they're so beautiful. And I've been struggling with vinyl lately, physically, because I'm very small and vinyl is very big. And I just don't have a space for it. And it's just like a logistical nightmare. I hate everything about packing it. So I saw that we shared some similar values. The fact that Black Birch trusted them with their album is really important to me because we're both anti-fascist leaning, and the photos are just gorgeous, and he treats everything beautifully. Everything's handled with respect. So I just reached out because I had some vinyl runs planned, and I was like, "Hey, help!" And he said yes. So yeah, I mean, all I did was ask.
That's cool of him. I mean, he was when I talked to him, he let me know a few days before it was announced because we were talking back and forth about the podcast, and he said he wanted to talk about that on there, and that was like my introduction to the label because I didn't come across it beforehand, or if I did, I didn't. And
Oh,
there's no, I didn't mean that as like
I know.
anything against the label. It's just you see so much
There's so many.
online that it's like some of the stuff just blends together. So if you see a release, you're like, oh, cool. By the time you scroll down 3 more things, there's 4 or 5 more releases.
Dude, I have to write.
And it's
I have
like
to write that
overwhelming
shit
at
down.
times. Oh yeah, I have to write it down, and I find myself screenshotting a lot. And then when I go through pictures in my phone, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to look at that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, I don't know, you just get scatterbrained and you forget. But he was talking about the Weld and Woe release, and the only band that I had heard been referred to as Castle Metal before that was Obsequiae. And,
Yeah, we're huge fans of each other. I think it's really sweet.
yeah, and we interviewed those guys back like last year sometime. So I thought that was cool. So I was like, well, I never heard any castle metal terms because, as far as I know, he kind of like coined the term. And then I checked out the band, and then I was excited about the release, but I was glad that I was on the website like as it came out because it did sell out in like 2 or 3 minutes or something.
Yeah, that was nuts. I've only had that with a few other things. I think Snowspire sold out really quick. I mean, the first run of tape sold out really quick. And I've had like very few things that have sold like that. The only other thing that went as quickly was Paul from Blood Incantation, his project Hanging Moss. That flew. But yeah, other than that, like it was such an incredible response. I was super pleased with it.
I like told a couple people about it, and then by the time they got on there, they were like, "Oh, it's gone." I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Like I didn't know it
So
was.
I
I've
think a
dealt with
lot.
releases like that before, where it's gone quickly. And when he said there was only 100, I was like, "Well, I don't know what type of following this band has, but I'm gonna be on there like right at drop just in case."
So I just want to say that the reason that there was only 100 was because that was all I could afford. And like I know people accuse other labels of like limiting stuff on purpose. This was not purposeful. I would have
Oh
loved to
no,
do a
that
bigger
shit's
job.
expensive.
Yeah, so that's on me. That was all down to label resources, or else I would have loved to do a bigger one. We are doing a repress. It's going to be beautiful, and hopefully everyone can get their hands on this one.
It would be cool to like
I bet it's
add
gonna
some.
sell out again.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna sell out again
You're gonna
because
get everybody else is gonna buy it again.
well, when you see not only that, like there's gonna be variant collectors and
Yep.
whatever, but the people who missed are gonna want it that much more.
Yep.
So they've been anticipating it.
Yep.
I mean, I hope no one's annoyed with us, but we want everyone to get their hands on it.
I don't know.
And
People are happy to like the people that do get annoyed about that. That are like, "Oh, you guys only did 100, and you said that you weren't gonna do any more. Like, why'd you do more? Like, dude,
they're welcome to pay.
let this people or let this band like be able to get their fans their stuff. Like, you shouldn't hold exclusive rights
Yeah,
to
if
this.
you're annoyed, they're just as annoyed too, I feel.
Yeah, I was so anxious about it. Like I was like, oh, is it gonna sell? Is it not gonna sell? And I was worried that people were gonna be upset about the number of copies. But I just as much as anyone else would have loved to do like 500. But I don't think people understand how expensive that is and the shipping. And then, if you're not like a big established label, what if it doesn't sell? Then you're sitting on that, and that's like thousands of dollars. And I know that's happened to labels bigger than mine. And it's just a huge risk. And I think moving forward, I will be doing slightly bigger runs, but the ones that I have planned at this time, they're pretty limited just because that's all I got.
Well, I know other people. Like, I have a friend that runs Barrow Horde Records, and I think I mentioned him to
Oh,
you.
I know who that is.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he released his Elavalon Drums in the Deepwood project, and I think he like split the quantity with a label or another distributor or something like that, to where he got like X amount and then the label got X amount to sell or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I've heard other people doing that too, where they're like, you know, Revelation gets like 300 of these, and then the band gets 200. Or like we interviewed another guy that does tapes, and I think like he kept a certain amount, and then the band kept a certain amount.
Yeah, I mean, I do a standard kind of deal. So with tapes and CDs, the band always gets 20% of copies, but with vinyl, it's 10% just because margins are so slim.
Right.
And like, the band wants more, it's at cost. And like for Blast Beat, obviously it's at cost too, because I'm not looking to make anything. I just want it to get out there. So yeah, I feel like when it comes to that kind of like divvying up, that's when you have huge quantities. But when it's so few, I mean, you have to think of the band first, especially if they're touring. Like this is a touring band, so they're gonna need, copies for themselves, and they've earned that. So it gets, yeah, when you have a small number, it gets very difficult to kind of divide them. But I always, in my mind, automatically subtract the artist copies from everything because that has to come first.
Yeah, as it should. So going back to like the label's beginning, how did you get the idea to start this?
You mean the terrible idea to start this terrible waste of funds? I had another label in like 2010 called Broken Limbs, and with my ex-partner, and it like got decently sized, and then it was just a lot to keep up with. He had a really great skill set at managing artists, and I went to focus on some animal welfare stuff professionally because that's what I've always done. And yeah, I just stepped away for a few years, and then I had a baby and I went back to school, and I decided that I kind of missed just spending hundreds of dollars on black metal tapes,
Fuck yeah.
and having my mom and my significant other want to throw me out of the house. So yeah, I was just like, why not? I can do this again. There's still so many bands that need a platform. There's never going to be a lack of small labels to help.
Yeah, I listened to you on another podcast, and one thing I thought was really cool was how you mentioned that you're kind of like acting as the stepping stone for a band to move on to a larger label if they choose to.
That's
Um,
the goal, yeah.
yeah, and I thought that was like admirable because a lot of people like if they run a label, they have a band that gets to where they're signing with Metal Blade or Century Media or something like that, um, or Columbia or whatever. And those people like out of greed, like a lot of times they're gonna be like, no, that's my band. I need this X amount to buy to buy them out of their contract and et cetera, et cetera. And I thought it was cool that you were like, I want to help elevate you guys just out of your appreciation for the music.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like going to be possessive of a band, what are you doing it for? That all comes down to money and clout, which is stupid. Um, I mean, with my former label on this one, we've had bands go on to Century Media and other stuff, and it's awesome because I don't have the resources that those labels have. So why would I want to pair up with a band that, I don't have what they need? It just doesn't make any sense. And it just feels really good to see them go on and be really successful. And I want that for Weldon Rose specifically because I think that, they'll get to that level if they're not already. I mean, I think they are right now. So, I mean, that's the dream. And if that happens, I consider it like a great success.
Yeah, plus it kind of like gives the band the ability to sort of learn how to navigate being on a label, like on a smaller scale, just so it kind of preps you for when you get to a larger scale.
Yeah, except I don't do contracts. So I feel
Right.
it's not getting
That's why I
serious.
said kind of.
Yeah. No, I'm not wasting my time with that or anyone else's. And I know even the lawyer who did some stuff for me was like, you need contracts. And no, the day I do that is definitely the day I close the label up.
It defeats the whole fucking purpose.
So
It's no contract.
it's mostly like a handshake agreement type of thing then.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my music. I have no rights to it. They're doing me a favor by letting me share it with everyone else.
Right.
So it's privilege.
So you put out tapes and vinyl. Do you do CDs too?
Yeah, I have such a complicated relationship with CDs
It seems
because
like most places do because it's the lowest selling format of the three right now, I'd say.
and it's the cheapest though. It's actually getting more popular. I do social media for another mainstream label, and like CDs are flying. People are collecting them, especially millennials and stuff. It's like that nostalgia factor, and they're the cheapest. So what they're doing is they're buying it and then they're ripping it and listening to it wherever, and then putting the CD in storage permanently. But they just want, like something in their hand. So I think a lot of bands don't understand that to get like professionally replicated CDs in the United States, the minimum is usually 300 to 500. And if you do like very small runs, it's like a ridiculous amount of money. So most of the CDs that you're getting from labels like My Size are CDRs, which are totally fine, except Europeans hate them. Sometimes they don't work with the systems. And then people have like this weird superiority thing with like they don't think CDRs are good enough. Clearly I'm biased. Like it's all the same. I don't even have a CD player. But yeah, I mean, I think they both sound the same. They both sound great. You can make them look really beautiful and they're the least expensive to make. So I will do them if a band requests, but I'm never like looking to do them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like your goal for that release.
I'd rather not, but if I really like a band like Rutile, I just did CDs for because another label was doing tapes and I really, really wanted to work with him. So like that was totally worth it for me.
I was surprised by tapes being as popular as they are. Like they sell here, but it's mostly like rock staples and stuff like Alice Cooper and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. But it's always like younger kids buying it. But I never, when I started seeing like hip hop groups do tapes again and like black metal projects and hardcore bands, I was like, wow, tapes are really like taking off.
They're so cute too.
Yeah, they are like, there is a certain like factor to them, like it just being a tiny little handheld release. But I don't know, I got big hands, so I feel like that about CDs too.
I don't know. There's just something about them that's like so like nice and compact and they're so small. And then like sorry, eventually your collection grows and it becomes a giant mountain. But yeah, I think it's like a really accessible format. in terms of like shipping and collecting. But yeah, it's definitely my favorite format.
Yeah,
What's your favorite format? Like, is it your favorite format to listen to?
Um,
Okay.
no, it's not. I mean, I think if I am listening to the releases that I'm putting on tape, yes, that's the preferred way because a lot of stuff like raw black metal and dungeon synths just sounds so good on tape.
Oh, most
But
definitely.
yeah, but it's not like super convenient in my life to just throw a tape on.
Yeah, I've been having trouble finding a tape deck for my Camaro. They're just not out
Yeah,
there anymore.
you gotta figure out how to, and I feel like there's already a way to do this to get to rip tapes to the laptop. I know you can't do it. I want to do it. I just know it's gonna take forever.
oh yeah, there's an adapter for it somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then you just have to like play it through at normal speed, I would imagine, eh?
Yeah.
Just like
I
a
just I don't
music.
even want to tell you how many tapes I have to do that for.
Yeah, that would be quite a few. So, how many bands do you have on your label? Or, well, if you don't know the exact number, just roughly. Because I
Um,
scrolled for like forever on your Bandcamp, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of releases on here.
that's a great question. So I don't like have bands on the label because I don't sign bands. It's just like for release basis. But I mean, I want to say maybe I've worked with like 150 different artists,
Wow.
maybe. Yeah.
And what year did you start the label in? This current
Uh,
one?
2022 in like May.
Oh, shit, that's like a huge catalog in a short amount of
Fuck yeah, it
time.
is.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a great thing, but it happened.
No, I mean like it from what I seen like I didn't get to really much of the dungeon synth stuff. I checked out most of the black metal and then I started getting to dungeon synths, but then I was getting busy in the store and had to put my phone down. But my friend that I mentioned earlier that's has the Elevalon project, like he got me into dungeon synth because before that I had no idea what the hell it was. Like when he brought that
I
to my
didn't know
store, I
that.
was like, he's like, you ever listen to Dungeon Synth? And I'm like, what? And like my thought immediately was like Lord of the Rings music because that's just what I thought of. And he's like,
That's
yeah,
the best
he's
case
like that pretty
scenario.
much, kind of it sums it up simply at least. And then I started seeing stores that have Dungeon Synth sections and like seeing the popularity of it grow. So it's really cool. But how did you decide to do black metal and dungeon synth? Did it just kind of happen, or when you started the label, were you going into it like I'm gonna do black metal bands and dungeon synth bands?
I did not go into this for Dungeon Synth. Like, not even a small percentage of me was aware. I was just gonna do like atmospheric black metal and folk metal and crust and stuff. That's kind of my thing. Like personally, especially black thrash. And then Dungeon Synth just kind of happened. And then I saw like how cute some of the stuff was, and the comfy synth is great. And it's just really inviting genre where a lot of people who don't feel comfortable in black metal can, express themselves in a bit of a safer space, which is, I mean, the bar is so low, but just the community itself is really wonderful and open. So they made me feel really welcome, and I've made a lot of friends, and through that, met a lot of incredible artists, and hopefully given them an outlet. And I mean, they've let me release their stuff. So it just happened kind of naturally. I definitely did not go into this even knowing what Dungeon Synth was.
Well, how did you get into black metal and extreme music in the first place?
Well, I was into crust and punk in high school, and then I had an internship at Earache, which is kind of like the starting point for it. And I went into like black thrash first, and then into more black metal. But the Earache experience was probably like the most formative part of my journey.
Let's talk about that. You were what PR for Earache?
Yeah, there wasn't a US PR person. That the person had left, and they kind of left abruptly, and no one had touched anything for months. So I came in as a PR intern, but it was a full-time job. Um, just walked into it blind. I mean, I went to my undergrad is in PR, so I, had some experience, and but I just went into it blind, and I had to learn everything on the go, which
It
was
was just like
really
a labor of
stressful.
love then, really. You weren't getting paid, right?
Oh no, not a penny. Um,
Living the
and I think
dream.
they wanted me to stay on too, but I needed to get paid.
Yeah, you got to eat.
Yeah, it's a lot. But they did have like an open tab everywhere, which was nice.
Oh, that would
So
be
that
sweet.
that was a small form of payment, but not the kind of payment that I needed.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah, you can't pay
So you
your
kind of
bills
went,
with open
yeah, you
tab.
started with like you said punk rock and then kind of morphed into the black metal, which I totally see that path. That's like a pretty
Black metal's the punk rock of the metal
right,
community.
right.
Yeah, it's like the Wolf Brigade to Wolfpack to Dark Throne pipeline.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Perfectly said.
So
Yeah.
as PR for Earache, what did you do there? Because that was a while ago. So when was, I'm trying to think of like where their
I'm so
huge
old.
start was. Like, was it
Wormrot.
in the 90s when you were doing it?
No,
Okay.
I'm only 34.
Okay. Well, I knew that. I just like, I was like, shit, maybe she was like, super young. Or
No,
I
I
guess
was
I
like
should have said 2000s,
Yeah,
not
super
90s.
young should
Sorry.
be like 6.
Sorry.
no, I was
My
19.
math was not mathing.
It was not bad. Wormrot had a new album out that was huge. So my friend was from Toronto area, and he introduced me to Would Ziggy Pray, and then I told the A&R guy Ali about them, and I was like, "Hey, this band is so good. They don't have a label. They want to tour North America, like in the United States." So we made that happen. They released Woods 4, and then we were working on Woods 5. And that was a big project. I was there for all the Morbid Angel reissues and some of the Carcass ones. I mean, it's all like all the best stuff is just the reissues.
Mm,
But in terms of new stuff that was coming out, Wormrot was the big one. There was a band called Rival Sons. There was Oceano or something.
yeah, I remember that band.
There is some another at the gates. I mean, it was a while, but the stuff that was coming out, it was like a lot of metalcore that I didn't personally like. Oh, there Serpentine Path. Does that sound familiar?
Serpentine Offering, maybe sounds
Oh,
familiar.
and Cerebral Bore from Scotland. They were really
Oh yeah,
cool.
there was a girl singer
They
that
actually
totally
came here.
did not sound like a girl.
So they came to visit, and we had some recent robberies at drugstores on Long Island. So they wandered into a drugstore at like 2 in the morning after being out with our person and his wife who is pregnant, and they were wandering in the drugstore, just wandering around, and they ended up getting arrested because they were looking for this this robber or whatever. So they threw all of them in the tubes, including the pregnant wife. And he said she used a sandwich as a pillow, but they all got thrown in jail. And I showed up the next day and no one else was there. So that was an experience.
Didn't they
Sorry,
only?
I forgot about that.
No, that I like hearing stories about
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
fucking gnarly,
They
dude.
only did like one album, didn't they? Cerebral Bore.
I don't remember anything after that, but I remember writing an email jokingly saying that I don't like death metal, and then Digby read it, and I got in trouble. But yeah, they were good.
Yeah, I've showed people that band a few times because people always talk about like Arch Enemy as far as like heavy female singers go, and I'm like, listen to this band, and they're like, that's not a woman. I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, you look her up, and you pull her up on like Metal Archives or Metal Encyclopedia, and you're like, see, I don't remember what her name was, but
I like
It's
Year
from
of the
Steve.
Knife female vocals. Those are
it's like super low guttural. It's like it's heavy as fuck.
yeah. I like when you can like you can still tell it's a chick sometimes.
Like
know.
with Arch Enemy.
But not like I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
No, that's not a bad thing.
So as PR for Earache, you basically like if for people who don't know what PR does, like what all did that internship consist of?
So setting up press releases, pitching partnerships with like guitar sponsorships, stuff like that, doing giveaways, getting print reviews, sending copies to writers, doing press for local tour stops, answering any questions that writers have, securing premieres, track streams, stuff like that. Setting up interviews and pieces in magazines, that was a big part of it. and just like making sure that the album campaigns are in order. It's just, I mean, it's a lot.
Did you by chance get like free tickets and stuff to shows for earache bands?
Yes, I did, which
That's
was
cool.
nice. I think I like did merch at one or two of them, so that was pretty cool.
You said you didn't really care for death metal. Were there any bands on the label that you did really enjoy? Because a lot of it is a lot of death metal.
Um, I do like Wormrot, because they're just lovely. Woodsy Prey, obviously. Other than that, I mean, I enjoy Carcass very much. That's about it.
Earlier Carcass or later Carcass? I have to ask because they sound like two totally different bands.
Like Heartwork Carcass.
Okay, that's the Carcass I like. We did we
Okay,
talked
cool.
we had that
Yeah,
conversation at one point.
I'm an earlier Carcass dude.
This comes up in every interview, which is fine.
Really?
But yeah, my brother is obsessed with Swan Song, and I'm like, why? There's so many others to choose from. And
Yeah.
then people get upset.
I like Swan Song too,
People
but
get
Heart
upset.
Heart works better.
Well, that's two people who like Swan Song that I know.
Yeah, I guess now that I think about it, people do trash that record a lot, but I think it's because of the dumb album cover. Like, yeah, I don't know, the album itself is good. Sure,
I'm just not gonna I'm
it's
not
not
gonna
their
say anything
best,
further.
but it's like how people love Dissection, Storm of the Lightsbane, and then trash Rheinkoss when they're both great records.
See, I've never even listened to Dissection, which is like pathetic.
They're it's just melodic black metal. I mean, I'm sure you're at least familiar with who they are. But back to you, because I'll get off topic.
Melodic death metal.
I'll get real melodic black metal. Sorry,
Death metal.
Dissection's totally black metal.
Death. I think I'd put them in a death metal.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I guess they could blend between both. We'll call it Black and Death or whatever they call it now. But anyways, going back, so as a PR for Earache, like going forward to your own labels, like I'm assuming that was a big help for you on how to run the stuff that you were doing independently.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I thought I could run a label. And I also did PR for other labels, some other big labels, and for in-house agencies that work with some mainstream artists. So I figured with that experience that I could do it. One of my colleagues also started his own label around the same time. Yeah, and I was like, oh, hey, I could also do this, but I could like actually help the bands instead of sitting on like a dusty pile of demos. Like with Earache, they're all in a corner going years back. No one had ever listened to them. So I would just take them home and I would listen to them. But obviously, like the bands were usually long gone. But yeah, it's been very helpful knowing, having those relationships with writers. They like bounce around from publication to publication, but a lot of the same people are still at it.
Yeah, that's cool. It seems like once you get into that business, like most people try their best not to have to get out of it.
I mean, I definitely did get out of it, but it was easier. It made it easier to come back in for sure.
Right. Especially having the knowledge to, because you, I assume, have to do like your own promotion and that sort of thing, because you don't have a major label budget to pay $1 million promo costs or whatever, the ridiculous amounts that they pay. So
Yeah,
like
my
that
budget
falls on you.
is $0. That's my goal, to never spend an advertising dollar.
So you just put in all the hard work yourself then.
Yeah, sometimes it sucks, but it feels good to do it myself.
Yeah. And plus, like, watching it grow, like, you know that you authentically let it grow. You weren't, like, paying this person and that person to contact here and there for you.
I mean, it'd be nice, but yeah,
Right.
no, I
Can't
wouldn't
afford
want-
payola.
Yeah, that shit's expensive, man. Like, paid ads are pricey.
Oh, yeah.
They can be cheap if you're doing tiny little ones on Instagram and stuff,
Exactly.
but, like, paying,
I
like,
just
anything you
justify
got into contract with or whatever.
I got
like,
a good
it's fucking
story for you
expensive.
after this about that.
All right.
It has to do with one of my brothers, so you know it's gonna be ridiculous.
You said that a couple of the bands that you worked with went on to go to Century Media. Who were those bands?
I'll give you one. One was Vatnet Viscar, which
Okay.
was a Brooklyn's band. So we did it. My very first record was a 10-inch LP, which is so stupid. I don't know what I was thinking, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I tell this all the time. so no one makes my mistakes. I didn't charge shipping on Bandcamp. So like international shipping. So that was a learning experience. Always make sure that you fill in all of the shipping areas or else you'll get fucked.
Duly
And
noted.
yes, they went on to sign like a 4 album deal with Century Media, and I think Century Media gave them a van. And that was that. Yeah, I haven't really looked them up since. I think they changed their name, but I knew that that's what they wanted. So like it wasn't a big deal at all.
And like their bonus was a van. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they really wanted the tour, and I think that was like a major issue. So
Yeah, that's always a major
Yeah.
issue. Like a lot of the
yeah,
bands that we interview they tour like the state and maybe like the state below, but anything past that, they're like, we don't have a van, like we don't have the money to fly there and back at our
We
expense.
have fucking jobs,
Yeah,
families.
like they got lives that they gotta. Like, yeah, we can't just
this
go on
band
a
wanted
6-week tour.
they wanted to do this for a living, which is admirable. Like they just wanted to do this, which is also crazy. But yeah, obviously you're gonna need a big label for that.
Touring's pretty much the way that you have to go, though, if you want to do it for a living. Like, there's not really a way outside of that because that's where you're going to make all your money.
Yeah, and
and
your
you better hope
merch
you don't
and-
have a huge band to split it up between like 9 people or something.
Yeah, like haul your own gear and shit.
I can't even like I feel like if you're an independent band touring, I can't even imagine like making money. I feel like when you have a major label paying those expenses, like maybe you'll see some of it, but I feel like it's definitely really difficult if you're
Yeah.
just doing it or not through like a booking agency.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because if you get that like food and gas per diem and stuff like from the label, that helps out drastically.
They pay that shit for some people, some labels do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my ex had a sponsorship from Taco Bell on a
Damn.
big metal label, which was incredible.
I just literally seen a commercial yesterday of like some musicians that were like, "Hey, when we're on the road, we eat Taco Bell," and I was like, "Oh wow!"
They're out there.
I always knew they did, but I was like, I never seen like them
I mean,
sponsor
I thought it
a
was
band.
fucked up when I saw like skateboarders getting sponsored by Mountain Dew, and now it's like singers and Taco Bell. Man, shit, man, we're missing out.
I'm just jealous.
Yeah, free fucking Taco Bell, man. Come on.
It's
Yeah, they
like,
had like Taco Bell dollars that they could spend anywhere they wanted.
Oh,
that would be cool. But at the same time, I would get tired of Taco Bell.
I would not get tired of it ever. But I mean, I'm saying that.
it'd be hard for me to get tired of it, to be honest. But it's incredibly unhealthy, so my mind would tell me not to do it.
I feel like it's not that bad if you're like ordering smart. I feel like it doesn't have to be that unhealthy. I mean, I had it yesterday, so I'm a little biased.
I haven't eaten Taco Bell in 2 or 3 years.
Wow, I had it last week.
Why?
I don't know. I just haven't. I don't have anything against it or anything. I just end up making my own tacos. Or we have this Mexican restaurant behind my record store that's really good, so I eat there all the time.
I mean, I can't knock it, especially if it's good, authentic food.
Yeah, they're.
Oh, it's way better
It's
to
way
eat
better,
there.
and it's
for
not
sure.
that expensive. Like
That's
know.
true too. It's like pretty much you're gonna pay about the same price if you do go to Taco Bell.
Yeah,
I can vouch for that.
it's funny
It is
how.
getting more expensive.
Oh yeah, all fast food places are. It's funny how one little thing leads to other random little tangents. This is what podcasts are for.
Oh, you're talking about how we got to Taco Bell?
Yeah.
It's important.
But so earlier on, well, actually, before I get to this, so your label does a lot of animal rights donations, charity work, that sort of thing, because that's what you do for your day-to-day job, correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole point of the label is to raise money and awareness for animal rights and animal welfare and animal rescue. So I've been working pretty closely with Heartstone Sanctuary in Ireland, in Sligo, which is run by just one person, and it's rescued farmed animals. So there are cows there, there are sheep and horses. She has dogs and cats. And so, some of the cows there's a blind cow with special needs, and there's no other place like it for animals that are used for food. and her location is actually sinking due to climate change. And she needs to find a new farm. So we've been trying to support her as much as we can. There's another, I know Apocalyptic Witchcraft did a really good compilation to help, and some other artists are helping. But you know, it's a huge undertaking. So we're just trying to chip away at it and just get her all the support that she needs.
So do you take like a portion of your sales from the label and just donate that over, or how does that work?
So all of the revenue from merch goes there.
Okay.
Unless sometimes when we do digital donations, so we don't take digital, but when we do, it's for the charity of the artist's choice. And so that goes to wherever they want. Sometimes it's Hearthstone, sometimes it's not, which is totally fine. We just got some cleaning supplies for a local dog and cat shelter from a release from a different artist. So it really depends, but there isn't really any profit from stuff to donate from like music, physical stuff, because I'm doing small runs. It just gets reinvested. But all the merch, which is where I'm finding that you're really getting that profit, that's what makes the big difference with donations.
And that's like t-shirts and stuff like that, patches,
Yeah,
stickers.
doing t-shirts and patches and stuff.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm always trying to think of new stuff to do. So I'm trying to come up with some other items.
No, plus it kind of like adds a certain aesthetic to your label. Like when we did Blast Beats and he mentioned the Be Kind to Animals, Listen to Black Metal shirts, because he mentioned the label, but like I said, like he was my introduction, so I was writing stuff down and he mentioned the shirts, and then me and Jeremy were both like, oh, I've seen those.
Oh, that's awesome. We've donated like 3,000 euro just from sales of that shirt so far, which is
That's
just
fucking awesome.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, and the artist who did it, Will, he didn't want any payment either. So I've been like sending him merch and stuff, but he was so generous donating his talent to that. And then Sage from Forest Passage is doing the printing, and he didn't charge me shipping. He's the best there is in the business in terms of like printing merch. So everyone is like, whenever they learn about this place and they look at her Instagram, they just want to help because it's so obvious like how much they need help if you just like read one of her posts. Even Weldon Woe, like he donated personally yesterday after like seeing something. So everyone is really coming together to help out, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've actually been talking with Jeff a little bit back and forth. We're interviewing him in a couple weeks too.
Yeah, he said if you don't mention Castle Metal, he's not coming on.
Well, I think like I told him we already did Obsequiae and Majesties, and he was like, "Oh, sweet."
Yeah, that's all you need. You got him roped in.
Yeah. So, but he seems like a really cool guy, and he said that you're his favorite person in the world.
Oh my God, that's so sweet. He's such a nice guy, a dog dad, a great husband, a great musician. And he's selling books now, like fantasy books. He does book reviews on TikTok, which is great. It's Bloodfire Jeff. He's just a real sweetheart, super, super talented. His other band, By Fire and Sword, is on No Remorse. They put out an album called Glory last year, it's really fucking weird, but it's good. It's really good. It's like epic power metal, but it has this like weird, creepy religious cult concept. And we put out a carol on Tuesday to raise money for Hearthstone, and it's really catchy. But I recommend checking out his other band as well.
I actually already did because I seen that the Carol posted around like
It's so
yesterday
good.
or the
It
day
has
before.
no right to go as hard as it does.
Yeah,
It's
he
so
seemed like
good.
a really cool guy from what I talked to him, so I'm looking forward to getting to pick his brain a little bit more.
Yeah, you're gonna have a good time with him.
So leading into you said you were in a bagpipe band earlier. Was that what you said?
Yeah, my mom plays the bagpipes and I'm a drummer. So
Okay.
we've been in a band together for like 18 years on and off. right now we're in the New York City Department of Corrections band, and we also play with Inishvada and some other stuff. But we used to lead the New York City St. Patrick's Day parade. Now we're near the front, but I wasn't able to do it last year because I was pregnant again. So and then the year before that I wasn't able to do it. But this year, I'm really looking forward to getting back on the street and doing some parades.
You said you do the Department of Corrections. You play with prisoners or for prisoners?
It's just like every municipal department of New York City has a bagpipe band. Like,
Oh, I got you.
yeah, like neither of us are related to any of that, but they fund bands like FDNY, NYPD. They all have different bands.
Yeah, for each precinct or whatever.
Yeah.
That's that's like a job I never would have thought of.
Yeah,
Not where we're from,
I was just taking that all in.
There's
You know,
a
it's
lot
awesome.
of bands from the South that are coming up because there are competitions all over North America, especially in Canada, because that's where like the main association is in Toronto. So there are tons of bands from the South now that are like popping up. There's like a great band, DC. There is a Southern band that did really well at the Worlds recently. I forgot the name, but you'd be surprised that there's probably a bagpipe band near here that you don't even realize.
I just seen was it Flatfoot 56? I was at a concert and they were opening for somebody, and they have a bagpipe player, and it's
I haven't
just
heard
like
that name in a while.
I hadn't either, but they opened for like Coffin Cats and one of my friend's bands that was playing, and
Wait, you saw the Coffin Cats? It
yeah.
was a formative part of my teenage years.
Oh yeah, I've seen Coffin Cats like probably 10, 15 times.
Were drugs involved? You don't have to answer that.
Probably, but
Yeah.
they actually like all quit drinking now. They're like all stone cold sober as far as I know. But they're still just as
Thank
wild.
God, dude.
They're
Otherwise,
still
they
just as
wouldn't
wild
be
on
fucking.
show.
They wouldn't still be playing.
No, I love rockabilly and psychobilly. So, I have a bunch of Tiger Army tattoos, some of which have gotten covered up, but that was also a part of my early years.
Yeah, I love Tiger Army
too. But my friend was in a rockabilly, psychobilly type band. That was like it was kind of like horror punk psychobilly called the Gutter Ghouls, and they played with like Coffin Cats all the time just because of the matchup. But they did a reunion show, so I went to that, and then Flatfoot was there, and I was like, I've seen bagpipes live, but I've never like seen a punk band play one like in a small bar live. And and they mic'd it, and I'm like, man, you guys probably could have just done this without a mic. It was so loud.
You never mic pipes unless you're in like an open auditorium or something like that, like a major stage. We actually get paid to play in bars after. Sometimes you don't get paid, but it's a big part of like the culture. And you do not need a mic in a bar. That is the last thing you need.
Yeah, it was pretty like I went towards like the back of the bar because I was like, man, I can't do this. I'm too close to the PA. Like this is killing me. But I was like, you could have gotten away with just doing it without it. But I guess not every sound person takes that into consideration. They're just like, I got to mic this, and this. This has sound. This has sound. We're good to go.
Yeah, I'm like horrified to hear that happened to you.
It was rough.
Have you seen Tiger Army before live?
The better question is how many times?
Okay.
Have you seen Tiger Army live?
Oh, I was just curious. What did you think of Nick 13?
I used to have the biggest crush on him when I was like 13 or 14. I liked his solo stuff, like the first album I heard. Yeah, I mean, he has a great voice, and I know like a lot of people compare their early stuff to AFI, who I never really listened to, but I mean, it's been cool to see his progression from like that early punkier stuff into more country. And I think
like we both dig it. I just I saw him one time and he seemed kind of like a princess, I guess.
Oh yeah, he is a princess.
And it's like, damn, dude.
I mean, look at him. He's like he's a diva.
I never heard them compared to AFI, but with the voice,
well, they both like jumped on each other's records back in the day. Like Davey Havoc always has a song on, and then Nick 13's on a song on up until some point. No, yeah, that I love that band.
Yeah, I have more than three Tiger Army tattoos.
Yeah, I don't have any, but
It is a lot for one person.
but yeah,
I never got to see Tiger Army. Are they still? They're not together, are they?
I think so.
Are they? I thought he
Wait,
was
Tiger
on his
Army?
own solo at
Yeah.
this point.
No, they're still playing because every time they come nearby, my husband will send me a thing and be like, "Do you finally want to go see them again after all this time?" I think he sent me they're playing like very recently, and I just did not have the energy to do it.
Yeah, they've been. I didn't even think they were together anymore. But it's been a while since I looked. So
And they do that. What is it? Their Halloween show, October Flame. They're still doing that.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I love yeah, they have fucking badass fucking ballads and they're fast shit. We can go on a fucking Tiger Army podcast sometime, but I'll just stop
Yeah,
right
I
now.
went to October Flame. I actually went to California to see them, and it was a whole thing. I like met my biological grandma in a trailer park. It was a whole experience.
Damn.
But yeah, good
And like
times.
with a soundtrack in the background is Tiger Army. You're meeting your grandma in a
It should
trailer
have
park.
been.
It's fucking sick, dude.
I think
Amazing.
we saw them like 2 or 3 nights in a row. It was the first time I had Del Taco. It was in Anaheim, yeah. And yeah, Del Taco was great. It was like 39 cents for a taco at 2 a.m. And I was like, this is the life.
I've
This is the
never
life for
had
me.
Del Taco. I've always heard people talk about it.
I can't say I
I mean,
have
it was
either.
great at 3 a.m. when I only had $1.
Yeah. I mean,
Shit, hell yeah.
arguably, like pretty much any taco is gonna be good at 3 a.m.
At 39 cents.
Yeah.
It's definitely not 39 cents anymore, but I mean, I wish it was. But yeah, other than that, I do not like California. For the record, I'm so sorry.
I never been there.
Yeah, I can't
so,
say I've never been there, but
Yeah,
I
I've
don't have
never
any
done it.
ambition to go either.
Yeah.
Don't bother. Not worth it.
I mean, like, I feel like a lot of East Coast people, like, are like, yeah, we'll stay on the East Coast. It's a nice place to go check out, but I wouldn't live there.
Yeah, I went, I saw, I'm good.
Word.
That's probably where I'll be at with it. I'll go see it at some point, but as far as it being on my wish list of things to do, it's not up there.
It's not like I mean, there is great stuff going on there with Black Bundle with like agriculture and stuff, but like other than that, yeah.
I just feel like there's like way more shit that I would rather check out.
Yeah, I mean, everything I feel like there's a lot of stuff in both Portlands that's like way more exciting
Yeah,
and like Chicago and stuff like that.
I agree. One more question I had.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I just say notice how I didn't mention my own state because nothing happens here.
In New York, nothing happens?
Literally nothing.
I find that hard to believe, but I guess you guys do have like a lot of just Wall Street type of stuff there, and
Do you
We
have
St. Louis, which is great if you want to drag your ass to Greenpoint. It's like such. Oh, I hate traveling there.
like a 24-hour supermarket anywhere?
that, I know why you're asking that question, but that seems like such a random question.
Well, I'm
It's
just
called a bodega, by the way. It's not a supermarket. We do have bodegas, yes. And I hate going there because the last time I ate after a show, they gave me raw fries at the bodega, and like I have not recovered.
But is it
It was
24 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, okay, it was like 3 in the morning, but the fries weren't even cooked, and I still the texture it stays with me.
So that's
And
it for fries. You're done.
yeah, actually, that and like Greenpoint and St. Vitus in general, the fry incident just ruined it for me.
Man, you gotta be a
Yeah,
cold ass
Yeah,
place to
yeah,
ruin
dude.
fries for you.
Yeah, dude. That's
They were raw.
that's
Raw,
No,
like the
I'm saying
potato.
that's how like the audacity of the bodega.
But
to serve
I'm gonna
you
be
fucking
real.
cold
I'm gonna be
fries.
real with you though. Like, there's a lot of Polish people in this area, and I'm like a quarter Irish, so eating raw potatoes is all good.
I fucking
On
hate
my
the
Okay.
end.
taste of raw potatoes.
Like I'm good. I can do it.
Yeah, I'm Irish, and I was not okay with it. You know why? Because he made me wait. I waited outside for like 25 minutes and they were raw. So I think it's the combination of like
Well,
making me
yeah, and they
wait.
were like frozen at one point, I'd imagine, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was just the audacity.
The audacity. Yeah.
Especially when it's that early in the morning and you're like, damn, I'm really
I'm
looking
fucking
forward to
starving.
these fries.
Yeah.
The only thing that was open. So it was like absolute bullshit.
Yeah, that's a bad ending to a night.
Yeah, not a good experience. But I didn't mean to go off on the tangent. I apologize.
Oh, it's cool. We do it all the time. whether it's food or Batman or music or whatever, it
Batman.
happens. We just did
I
Batman
know.
like
Just
last
laughing
episode,
about it.
so we mentioned one thing about Batman, and 20 minutes later, we're like, okay, we got to get off Batman.
That's how it happened.
But before we like get to starting to wrap things up here, one question I did want to ask, going back to like when I did ask if you got concert tickets from Earache when you worked there, like what were some of the favorite shows that you got to see at that time?
I mean, seeing Woodsy Upper live always is an amazing experience that I think a lot of people never got the chance to. So I'm very fortunate to have known them and seen them live. I mean, that it was just so significant and special to me. Just being able to like bring them to New York was the coolest thing ever. And just seeing them live was, I can go on. So that was cool. Nothing else really stands out, to be honest.
I mean, if
I,
you like helped bring them there, like I'd be all about the show too, and you were already a fan pre-existing to that, so I sell
yeah,
records for bands that I love, and I get excited about that. So if I brought a band to play a show somewhere, I could only imagine the excitement
yeah,
level there.
so amazing. And David was really ambitious about touring, so it was just a great feeling.
Well, before we wrap things up, like I mentioned this question to you before, and you brought up the bagpipe band, but what is something that you listen to that people would not expect you to listen to? And we always ask people this question just to see what all types of random music they're into.
I listen to a lot of Handel during work, and also the baby likes it. And it's especially Messiah. It's just really beautiful. I never get tired of hearing passages from that. Very like emotional for me. But yeah, I usually have Handel or Bach or just some Baroque in the background. Yeah, lots of classical, not in like a snobby way, just because it helps me focus, and that's my original musical background. So yeah, a lot. That's mostly what I listen to here.
And to be continued. What's up with that now?
I like that stuff. Like I'm not like very fluent in it, but like piano is my favorite instrument. So like hearing a lot of those old classical compositions, like I like them. And when I was in elementary school, there was a girl in my class whose mom was a classical composer, and she exclusively, like for our class, brought in and taught us composition for like half a year or something like that. So we got to learn like all about like Tchaikovsky and all that different stuff from that era.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm like kind of a stickler for like Baroque stuff, just the instrumentation for me. I really enjoy like harpsichord and stuff like that. Like the heavier, more like romantic stuff is great, but I feel like if you're like passively listening, it's just like easier to have some of like the earlier classical stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I listen to jazz a lot while I'm reading because I don't have to pay attention to words.
I mean, I've never listened to jazz while reading. I feel like that's two jobs. Why would you want to have two jobs at the same time?
I don't know. I can do both simultaneously. It ain't that bad.
That's very impressive.
I mean, like, I'm more impressed by the people that are like blaring Morbid Angel and like reading a book, and I'm like, man, I can't concentrate on both at the same time. Like, it's too much.
I can do that, but I can't do the other.
You can't do jazz
And read?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane.
I never thought of that as being like something.
Because it's like the
You need to
absorption. It's like hard. I'm either gonna have to listen to the record again without reading, or I'm gonna have to read what you know what I'm saying. Like if I do it at the same if I do it at the same time, I'm just gonna like waste time.
Yeah, it'll work against each other.
Right, like my brain doesn't work that way. I guess.
Got it. I guess mine helps it like keep it one track. I guess.
Shit.
That just goes to show you how people's brains work differently, though.
True.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
We've been trying to get a psychologist on, actually. Shout out to anybody who is a psychologist. We would like to talk to you about music and the brain.
Oh, I can help you with that after the show if you want.
That would be fucking
Yeah,
amazing.
that would be cool.
Yeah, I think I know someone who might do it.
I have two books. Like one is called Music and How It Affects the Brain. I can't remember the author of that one. And then another one is Musicophilia. And they're both like psychology and music. And I've always thought it was incredibly interesting, like the different ways that frequencies react with your brain and stuff. And like
I
just
think this person would be perfect if they agree. I'll talk to them.
okay,
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, you one.
Because around here we don't have. We live in like a small city that's just kind of like blue collar, and I guess like
Nobody's qualified.
yeah, I
Straight
guess
up.
that was what I was heading
This
towards.
person is from Appalachia, so similar.
From the mountains, Appalachia.
I think so.
Oh shit, I don't know. Like they could
No,
have
I don't. I'm
fucking
just.
Ivy League schools there for all I know. I didn't go there.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, definitely reach out. Like that would be awesome because I think it's a really interesting topic, and it's more that I would like to learn about from somebody that's like qualified to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get you that info.
Cool. But before we wrap things up here, like one, do you have anything that you want to get off as far as social media plugs or like upcoming releases and announcements or anything like that?
I do have the compilation for Hearthstone coming up. We did one last year for Transformer Street Dog, which did really well. So we're gonna have that in the spring. I'm not sure the date, but I will let you know. I guess just see what local animal rescues and shelters in your community need right now. It's really cold out there. So if you see a dog that's outside, always try and do something. If you can just call authorities or even try and talk to the person, ask them to bring the dog inside. You could like save lives like that. So I think I just want to leave with that. If you see a dog outside during this cold weather, please do something. And, don't be afraid. They really need us.
That's how I ended up with my cat. One of my cats, actually. It was like living in the front yard, and then we started feeding it, and then we were gonna take it to the Humane Society, and they were like, we can't take it. And then I'm like, well, we have a new cat.
That's how the best relationships start. Thank you for doing that.
Oh yeah, that's my homegirl now,
Oh,
What's your cat's name?
Laverne.
Okay.
Because I had Shirley.
Your dog had a really cool name, so I didn't know if you had like a really like
Just
cool
Laverne
name.
and Shirley.
Yeah.
I got to see a picture of the cat later
the
now.
cat. Yeah, I showed you Sabbath, so Jeremy, it's your turn
I'll
to
hook you
show
up.
pets. But anyways, Bariann, I just want to thank you for taking the time to jump on here and talk about you and your label and everything that you do.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me and taking the time to feature some underground artists and labels. We appreciate you. So thank you.
I'll have links to all your social media stuff and everything in our episode description, your Bandcamp and all that stuff. And then anything like charity-wise that you want me to put in there, send it to me and I'll include all that as well.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was cool getting to talk to you and enjoy your night.
Yeah, I
Me too.
appreciate
Thank
all
you.
you do.
You got it.